welcome back to On the Workbench. Today we're taking a look at my Toro Timemaster lawnmower. So I've got one of the older models. I believe that's starting about 2016. I could be off by a year. Toro started adding a guard on this side of the overhead valve cover to be able to better protect the carburetor springs. Many of the older models do not have that, and I want to add that onto my mower. And so if you've got one of these mowers, follow along with me and I'll show you how to do it. I know there's some variations on which specific engine these mowers come with, but as far as I can tell, I think this will work with most, but I do need to throw out the normal cautionary tale. Your mileage may vary because your engine may be just slightly different than mine. So just bear that in mind. And so this is a really quick update, and let's go take a look at the parts that we're going to need to do this repair, then we'll come back to the mower. Okay, over on the workbench, we've got our assortment of parts. The first thing is going to be our engine guard. This is a Toro part from Toro. Briggs and Stratton makes a part like this, but it's basically like a wire mesh. It doesn't really do the same thing. It comes in black and looks like this. You get a genuine Toro Parts bag with it when you order it, and it even comes pre-wrapped just so you can make sure that the finish is nice and black. That's your most expensive part. And then you're going to get a couple other screws. You need another screw for the side. And if you don't want to reuse the screw, you can reorder a couple extra screws here. I'll put all these parts numbers below. And then the other key part, and this was the hardest part for me to try to track down, was the pieces that allow this to connect to the front of that overhead valve cover. And that's this Briggs and Stratton, what they call a stud, 798322, made in Taiwan. Now on the Toro mowers I've looked at and studied, these are black, and I could not for the life of me come up with an actual Toro part number for these, but I do have the Briggs part number here, and this is not black, so I'm not going to stress about the fact it's not black. And so we got two of those and our cover. The tools for this job that we're going to need is going to be a 1/4 inch ratchet. I'm going to use my roto head ratchet just for easy, quick driving access. And then I'm going to use a short extension. Alternatively, you get around that with a 10mm deep well socket. I also have a 10mm just standard depth socket on hand, as well as a 5/16. I know it's a little odd mix of metric and standard, but that's just kind of how this is, mixing and matching some of our parts. As you saw, we've got a 1024 screw and we've got some metric screws. So we got to have a little bit of an assortment here of our tools. And now let's head over to the mower and get this started. So now over at the mower, if you're looking at the front of it, we're going to have to remove the lower and the upper screws on this valve cover. The torque that's on these to start with is not very much. I'd say it's snug. I don't actually have an actual torque spec for it. I'm using my roto head snap-on ratchet. I've got another video about that. I can put a card in the corner about that. Here's the bolt that came out. There's one. And get the other one back here out of the bottom. Voila. And that's out. And now we're going to take the studs and we're going to install one stud here. It should just thread right in. If you're feeling fancy, you could come back and paint that black to match. But I'm just going to go ahead and put it in just like this. So there's already some chrome accents on here to begin with, or I guess they're probably zinc, but that's okay. We'll tighten that up with our socket in just a moment. We'll put the other one on. And now that tightens up just like that. Nice and snug. And now we're going to take our guard. We're going to remove the decorative or the protective plastic wrapping on it. And now this guard will simply wrap around the mower and go right into those studs. If I use the bolts that came off, this will be really simple. It just goes on like this. Now before we tighten that up, let's take a look at the other side of the mower. So now if we look over here, as we walk around, you can see there's a through hole here for these two bolts that connect the carburetor assembly, so you can still tighten that down. And we're going to add one more screw right up here to the corner. We're going to use our 1024 screw that we ordered, or obviously if you have one in your workshop, and I use my 5/16 socket to go ahead and put this in. And then now we'll come back to the front and tighten up our bolts, because we got to make sure that this was in the right alignment to get that connection there, because the front side was vertical. So we'll switch back to our 10mm socket. Just give this one nice little small snug. And now we've got this guard here to protect our carburetor springs. I don't know why Toro doesn't actually advertise how to do this update or upgrade for Timemaster owners, because I think this is a essential update. I mean, it's so important that even Toro did it themselves and came up with their own custom part to do this, but yet they never put out a manual explicitly detailing how to do this. So I do quite a bit of research to figure out all the part numbers and backing on this here. So if you found this video useful, please give us a thumbs up. And if you do this mod yourself and order the parts, leave a comment below to let me know how that went. And I hope you found this video useful and interesting, and have a great day. Bye.